guys. So let's pull up the slide. So I've made some documentaries. They're mostly about underground culture and how looking at underground cultures can help us evaluate these larger trends that we go through as a society. For example, my last film, can I have the clicker? Thanks. My last film is examining underground dance music in Havana, Cuba. And, all right, cool. And how that shows us about globalization and the balance of connecting with other cultures and also preserving your own culture. So I've been thinking about this question a lot, which is what does it mean to portray the real world in virtual reality? And how do we do that in an ethical way? Well, one thing that virtual reality has taught me is that truth is subjective and it's ruled by perspective. So, you know, you get somebody putting on your headset, and once we did a sync screening where we had 30 people, and they would look at different things sometimes, and that's okay. And like, we all are parsing out the pieces of information that we think are important and building our worldview. So how do we form our worldview? The first and most powerful is through direct experience. Direct experience is, you know, when you do something and then you learn from that. The second is observation. So, you know, I could watch my friend eat some berries in the woods, and then they got sick, and I'd say, okay, I'm gonna stay away from those berries. And then the third, which is probably the way we get the most knowledge, is through cultural indoctrination, which has kind of a bad tone, but it's sort of part of being part of society, right? So we're gonna talk a little bit about, direct experience is, you know, the most powerful, and virtual reality taps into that. It's the first form of art that allows us to have a direct experience that's not actually our own. So that's giving us a little glimpse into the power of this medium and why it's important to talk about ethical principles when you're presenting real-world information. So, this is something that Kent Bai created, that's called the elemental principle of VR. So you have the emotional presence, you have social or mental presence. What does this mean? What does this teach us about the world? You have your active presence, your agency within the experience, and your embodied presence. Does it feel like you're in the space? So in terms of VR journalism, 360 video is sort of most people's choice for how to do it. It's mine, but it's not the only one that you can use. So 360 video, as you can see, hits really well with this emotional presence and with the social and mental presence. Because it has this video realism, you can see people interacting with their environment and their face, and it's powerful in that way. But it doesn't really give you any sense of truly being in the space because you only have 3 off, and you also don't have much agency within that. And then you have photogrammetry. Photogrammetry gives you a great sense of embodied presence in a real space. So you can take a real space and recreate that in 3D and walk around it, but you know, things can't move in photogrammetry. Then we get into videogrammetry, which is coming up. So at F8, I don't know if you guys heard, but Facebook and Otoy announced this collaboration where they are building a cloud-based tool that will allow you to convert stereoscopic 360 images from one camera into a volumetric video. Oh, this is from the top. Let's go in like 10 seconds in, maybe 30 seconds in. Yeah, right there. Oh, a little before that. Nope. There, right there.
A video.
Yeah, so this is like, this is the person in the space, and they're uploading it to the cloud. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, we have limited time, so back to the slides.
Adobe After Effects, the Foundry's Nuke.
And so this is going to allow us to bridge the social, mental, emotional, and embodied aspect, which is going to be an incredibly powerful tool in portraying the real world in VR. So there's one that we're sort of missing, which is like, how do we give somebody agency over the experience? And it makes me a little nervous, because can you give somebody agency over something that's already happened? If they'd been there and they were able to change the situation, maybe things would have played out differently. So some ways that you can explore that in VR journalism and documentary, you can allow somebody to explore the space or maybe different facets of reality. So in my next film, we're gonna have different spaces within this community that you can explore, and just seeing this community from different people's perspectives on it. So the next tool, which I'm super excited about, this might be 25, 50 years out, but this is gonna be huge. So Elon Musk recently introduced this to the public, and it's his new company. It's called Neuralink, and it's a brain-machine interface. So reading the electrical signals that your brain inputs and outputs, when you see something, your neurons fire, and then you can perceive that. So basically, like, eyes are an input tool for visual reality, but they wouldn't necessarily have to be the only input tool. With this new form, you could, I think, with what he's described, I could imagine me being able to send all of my sensory stimulus into all of you, into the audience. So you could all have a first-person experience of what it's like to be up here, and the lights are kind of hot, and all that stuff. So this would be like totally game-changing in terms of sharing these direct experiences with other people. And so it would also kind of get rid of the need for all this crazy bulky equipment. So I don't really think like the future of VR is gonna be like more haptics and more this and more that. It's really gonna be linked to neurology. Which brings me to sort of the conclusion of this, which is even without the Neuralink, I think that having this wide berth of direct experiences from other people for the first time might really change the way that we perceive reality and help us evolve as a species. Just like when we created language, we were able to make this great jump from having to do things ourselves and not being able to record our knowledge and not being able to share our knowledge to being able to build society. Like, language was the stepping stone to where we are now. But we haven't made that evolution in the way we communicate with one another. And language is pretty slow, and there's a lot of nuances to it. It's not really an efficient method of communication. So with this, we can go with these direct experiences, whether that be VR or Neuralink, we can go from this sort of ego, one direct experience perceiving the world, to a collective consciousness where we're all sharing these direct experiences, and we can tap into and learn like on the fly from anyone in the world. So yeah, I think that's kind of hopefully where we're going. I think that has a huge potential to give us the tools that we need to help us protect our environment and get together, understand each other a little better, make progress. But in the meantime, I think we're still a little far out for Neuralink. So in the meantime, what I'm focusing my work on in terms of diversifying these direct experiences that people can have so this is my last documentary, which is screening here, and then at Cannes in a couple weeks. And this is my next one that I just shot in Italy, both of which give you this underground perspective. And my goal is to help those people share their stories. So they get to talk. I don't voice over anything. I think that's, it's not the way we do it. And then my other project with Stuart Mason in San Francisco is Art in VR, where we connect underground artists in the Bay Area with technologists, which is kind of a social rift in San Francisco. If you go there, you'll see what I mean. To create these just super awesome VR experiences together, which explore consciousness and perspective. And then whenever I travel. I try to teach a little workshop to folks in whatever space I'm in, and how to make VR with their existing tools. So thank you guys so much. I hope that sparks some ideas into where we're headed, and have a beautiful rest of your day.